Straight ahead on the show, the March Madness continues for the 3-year-olds. We've got action at the Big Easy, Louisiana Derby, and Fairground Oaks. We'll also check in on the Kentucky Derby points leaderboard, and the Winterbook odds are out for this year's Queen's Plate. We'll stop in at Woodbine Mohawk Park, plus have another good old-fashioned bet battle. It is time to go racing around the world.
Now Swiss Skydiver has room, pounces on her at the 8th pole, and is hand-ridden to a comfortable lead as she waves goodbye, completely outclassing the field. It's Swiss Skydiver strolling through the stretch under Robbie Alvarado to win the Beholder Mile, loaded by 3.5.
To the outside, keep me in mind. Then get her number, Final Furlong, and Concert Tour is now 4 lengths in front, and Concert Tour is running them off their feet in the Rebel. Concert Tour 5 lengths in front. Hosier might get second. 8 Rebels for Baffert Concert Tour. Wow, big run.
And if you listen closely enough in the background, you can hear a Rebel yell. Coming from one Bob Baffert. Sorry, I couldn't resist. He is Chad Rozema. I'm Jason Portuondo. This is Racing Around the World, presented by HPI Bet. Let's begin our look back, Chad, with Swiss Skydiver. And by the way, it's good to see you once again.
Good to see you, buddy. As we wrap up the month of March very soon, we're wrapping up winter this weekend. Looking forward to that. But yeah, Swiss Skydiver, wow, what an impressive 4-year-old debut for her and how strong she was. You know, that lightly raced Baffert one, though, that came on for second, pretty solid as well.
Yes. And speaking of Baffert, I mean, obviously the headliner is Life is Good, but Concert Tour, that was not what I expected out of him. He looked really, really good at Oakland.
You know, fooled me because we talked about Freedom Fighter and how he kind of made that one work in the most recent win. I think he was just playing with them, and he was just playing with them on the weekend. Another talented Baffert horse on the Derby Trail.
Well, let's continue this theme of on that Derby Trail. We've got points to talk about, and they're at a premium now because every day we are one step closer to that first Saturday in May. And here's the top 20 as we speak, Chad, and not surprised to see Baffert's name splashed all over. He's got 5 in the top 20.
Yeah, just a quarter of them, you know. And he had a debuting half-brother to American Pharoah that was an impressive winner. And they're considering maybe the Derby in Santa Anita coming up on, I think, April 3rd. So, I don't know, maybe he's got another one. Who knows? But, yeah, just impressive. And, you know, now we start to get really into crunch time because those huge Derby preps with 100 points for the winner are coming up.
Good to see Helium on there, Weyburn as well.
Yeah.
A couple of local horses, if you will. One, obviously, Canadian bred, hasn't raced here in Weyburn, but Helium able to remain perfect, and he is off to the Derby. We'll hear from Mark Casse a little bit later on in the program. Speaking of Casse, he's got a couple of horses on the list here, Chad. Gretzky the Great and Curlin's Catch, and look who's topping the list.
Yes, Weyburn. It was only a few weeks ago we were kind of talking Gretzky the Great, maybe the early favorite. Well, after his run, you know, in Turfway where he was third, he's kind of knocked down. And Weyburn, hey, deserves to be there right now based on what we've seen. And you know, Rob Landry, as we know, you know, leading the way for Cheesewood Stable, saying they're going to right now focus in on the American Triple Crown races, but we'll see. Things can change quickly, and I'm sure as long as he stays racing well, we'd love to see him. You know, back in Canada representing.
Gretzky the Great for Casse, same type of thing. We'll continue on that trail until they see fit not to, I believe, the Spiral. Jeff Ruby's takes up next for that one. All right, trainer Kevin Attard, a couple as well. We saw Steven on that list as well as Hadassah. Let's talk about the next 72 hours right here on HPI Bet. Obviously, we got a ton to discuss, and hey, just the way it should be as we wrapped up Cheltenham on Friday. That was an amazing meet. And how good is Rachel Blackmore? She's phenomenal.
Yeah, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Putting up multiple wins. So hopefully everybody enjoyed tuning in through HPI to check out the Cheltenham Festival. But yeah, we've got you covered with our usual busy weekend load and good mix of the thoroughbred and the harness, of course. happy to see, we're back with a busy weekend again. 11 races at Woodbine Mohawk Park Friday and Saturday, Jason. I know you're going to be in the chair Saturday night with the Parlay Queen on that premier schedule. Sintra making a second start back off the shelf.
Just going to try and keep up with the Vags. Not the Joneses, the Vags. Because, she's been on a roll. And, you're getting a well-deserved night off on Saturday. So I will man the fort for you. So there's a look at what's coming up. Speaking of Woodbine Mohawk Park, we always keep an eye on the fives, whether it's the first one to kick off the card, the early pick five, or the last one to wrap things up. And that jackpot, it is carrying over quite nicely. It's swelling, Chad.
Almost at $250,000. Come this weekend, obviously, with the Friday and Saturday programs. If it doesn't go, it'll likely be over that. But, a lot of great stakes. Sam Houston celebrating their Texas Champions Day. I think they've got like $700,000 in purses up for grabs. Santa Anita, they've got a graded stake of their own on Saturday, the San Luis Rey. Short field, 5 of them. Say the word, though, for Samson Farm in that 1.5-mile turf event. Second choice at 5-2. Co-second choice in that compact field.
We did see the Hurricane Birdie on the list. Did not fill last week, so it will go this weekend. And then, of course, Chad, hey, next Saturday, this time, we're thinking Florida Derby. It's coming hot and heavy.
We got a bunch of big Derby preps next weekend, and then on top of that, you've got the Dubai World Cup.
Wow. All right, well, let's jump right on in. It's a huge weekend, as talked about for the sophomores. It is Spotlight Nolans. The Big Easy, the Bayou, take your pick, home of the LSU Tigers. A lot going on. We're going to begin our closer look with the Nolans Classic. It's a grade 2. There's a look at the field, and certain horses in here looking for some redemption. Enforceable just didn't show up last time out for Cassie. He's looking to redeem himself, but the inside 2 look to have the inside track in here, Chad.
Yeah, and Owendale, installed as the 9-5 morning line favorite, so get a lot of play. Third is the favorite in the Razorback, but, Brad Cox said that the inside maybe wasn't the place to be on that occasion. He's reunited with Florent Giroux, and the winner of that race is going to be one of the favorites in the upcoming Dubai World Cup, that being Mystic Guide. But I'm going to go Roadster. He hasn't raced in just over a year, joins the Stidham barn. He's had chronic foot issues, but they say they've got him as good as he can be. He's been training great. 3 straight 6 furlong works, Jason, and 12 and change. I think he's ready, and I think he can be a major player in here.
Can't argue with that pick. Stidham, great with his new recruits, great off these types of layoffs. But I am going to go with the choice. I'm going to go Owendale. I think he just needed that last one in the Razorback. I'll toss what could have been a flop in the slop. Giroux stays aboard. I know he wasn't aboard in that last one Rosario was riding, but he goes back aboard, I guess I should say. But, I think the inside 2 are the top 2 there. Let's move on. Race number 12 on Saturday's card at Fairgrounds. It's the Grade 2 Moonies Memorial. There's a look at the field. This one not on dirt at 1 1/8 like the New Orleans Classic. This one on turf at 1 1/8. So the configuration has them starting basically on the turn there. It's a bit of a different look, but I think this one you've got way more options than you did the last one.
Yeah, big turf. And you know what? The weather's going to be perfect, so I don't think you have to worry about any kind of off turf, off track, whatever it may be. They've got great weather coming up in Louisiana. But in Captivating Moon, we saw on both fields, looks like Chris Block is leaning towards this turf event in the Moonies. I mean, especially coming off that 43-1 upset in the Fairground Stakes. But I'm going to go to the one next door. I like Cross Border in here for Jose Ortiz, Mike Maker. Horse been knocking on the door the last couple of starts, was third behind Colonel Liam, in that Pegasus World Cup turf. But I just think that this guy, he had a bit of a troubled trip, I think, in that last race. He gets rolling soon enough. I think he can turn the tables.
All right. I'm going to go Spooky Channel. I'm just a huge fan of this horse. And they always say bet, with your head, not your heart, but sometimes you just got to flip it. So I'm going to go Spooky Channel. Love the fact that Giroux is going to ride, obviously, a top jock. Local horse, again, Olympic runner for Cassie off that smashing second-place effort in the Canadian turf at Gulfstream. Could be right there once again. And we should have mentioned Ollie, my boy, since getting to the Fairgrounds dirt. He's been pretty good for Norm Cassie, so keep an eye on him in that New Orleans special as well, the Classic. So, all right, let's move on to the big 2 now. Race number 13. First up, the ladies, just the way it should be. $400,000 the purse. It's the Fairground Oaks at 1 1/16 on the dirt. These fillies know each other rather well, but then also, Chad, you toss in some fresh faces into the equation.
And I think some fresh faces that can make some noise, right? It's crunch time. If you want to go to the big dance, you got to show you can compete with the the top fillies, and we've actually got a pretty good measuring stick here with Clairiere and Travel Column as they kind of jump out, and they're going to get their rivalry renewed in this spot. But we've got some others in here. You talk about new faces. How about Obligatory for the Juddmonte Farms? We know that all they send out and breed is quality, and here is Obligatory in her second lifetime start, her 3-year-old debut. Nice, good sized daughter of Curlin. She's the gray filly in those Juddmonte colors. You can see the stablemate starts to make a move. She actually kind of got held up and had to sort of take a step back. And you can see allowing, the stablemate and others to kind of get the jump on her. But I love that she just gets back to her business, gets running strong. You can see her making up the ground, and those strides, she covers a lot of ground and down the lane. I don't see her slowing here, Jason. She just keeps going. She'll ultimately pull away to win by 2.5, earns an 82 buyer, which stacks up very well against this group. And then now if she can build off of that and physically looking at her, I think this is going to be a great spot for her. She continues to stretch out, but I think she'll be able to run all day long. The biggest concern is maybe that, the Lasix. How much did Lasix play a part in her success in that second start? Because now we know she's got to go back off of that program. But we talked about, it being a rematch here with Clairiere and Travel Column. It's actually the rubber match, because going into the Rachel Alexandra, we talked about what happened in the Goldenrod last year, and Travel Column got up by a length over Clairiere, but based on the troubled trip, she appeared to be, several lengths the best, even though it maybe didn't show up on paper. Well, you know what? I kind of feel the same about this one here, Jason. Travel Column, stalking, got the lead late, dug in. I thought raced really hard right to the wire, but you can see Clairiere and Talamo had to change course, get to the outside. They were able to go by. And, I can see Travel Column starting to battle back there. But to me, Clairiere, although winning by a neck, clearly proved to be the better filly on that day.
All valid points. All valid points. So who's your top pick then? You sort of gave me a couple horses that you like. Keep an eye on. Who are you going with?
You know what? I'm going to try that newcomer. I know the main ones are obviously Clairiere and Travel Column in here, but you're like me. We like to try some of these new faces if we can, and I'm going to go Obligatory. Again, Juddmonte Farms, Bill Mott, you get Ortiz. I'm just hoping the Lasix wasn't the biggest reason why she had the success that she did. I just love the way that she ran on there, and I think in this distance here, even though it's a paceless race, I expect to see her, a little more involved in the early going, and they've got a long stretch there. And so I'm going to go with Obligatory, mild upset.
I agree with you. Clairiere, Travel Column, just kind of obvious fillies in this race, but I'm looking forward to a fresh face as well. I'm going to go next door to you, Lil Tootsie. And I realize she's going to have to be a lot better. She is not stakes tested. Now you're going to jump right up into a grade 2 fray. I get it. Horses for courses sometimes work. This horse is the only one in the field with multiple wins at the fairgrounds. Luis Saez is going to take over now for trainer Tom Amos. Again, she's going to have to improve, but I really feel like she can. There are some nice fillies in this race. I think Lil Tootsie is not out of place. I'm going to take a shot with her on the morning line at 4-1. Mark Casse, he's got Super Sensational in here. She's 15-1. To me, that's a little bit of disrespect for a horse that was based at Woodbine last year. And earlier this week, I spoke with Mark. We talked about a bunch of things, including a couple of troubled trips for this filly since going south to the fairgrounds. And you know what? It's now situation critical if she wants to stay on that Oaks Trail.
The last race was even more frustrating simply because we're trying to establish where she fits in. As a trainer, it's very frustrating when you find out nothing. You don't know whether your horse isn't good enough. Whether it's just that's the most frustrating type of race. So we're running out of chances. She needs to show up on Saturday. We've brought in a guy that we've had a lot of luck with. With Johnny Velasquez. He's won a Breeders' Cup for us. He's won a Queen's Plate for us. And so we'll see. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to take a different approach on Saturday. So we'll see.
I think Mark has the same sentiment, Chad, as a bunch of trainers in here. You've seen some pretty good things thus far from some of them, but for others, it truly is, time to put up or shut up.
Exactly. And you know what? He could have himself a good weekend. He's got some good live horses, I think, that, you know, if they bounce back, could come up with some big efforts on what's a huge day in Louisiana.
All right. After 13 comes 14. Let's move on there next. It's the $1 million Louisiana Derby, another Grade 2, a quartet of Grade 2s. But make no mistake, this is the headliner, 6:44 Eastern, 5:44 Central, that being Fairgrounds time. Well, we spoke of rematches. You definitely have that going on here.
8 horses, 6 of them are coming out of that Grade 2 Risen Star, one that was won by Mandaloon, and I think rather convincingly in that spot, as well as he bounced back after, you know, I guess we got a little critical on him, finishing 3rd in the Lecomte, but, you know, there were some excuses. Brad Cox trained him with the blinkers on, then raced him, and he was, you know, he was cautiously optimistic that this horse would be more focused, and you know, word from Giroux after the race is that's exactly what he was. But you see, you know, wide in the track and that 4-wide path, that's Proxy. And now Proxy, he's kind of got a way of, you know, running a little funny at times. And, you know, he almost looks green. Well, he's going to kind of try the same approach as Mandaloon and hopefully has the same success. But he's going to put the blinkers on. They're hoping to get this guy a little more focused as well. And, you know, he's been able to work with it, including a 47 bullet work at the Fairgrounds. So, I think a nice little rematch between them. I'm not so sure that there's going to be a new face in here that steps it up. I'm going to go Mandaloon. I really think that this guy is just going to get better and better, and I think we're going to start talking about him more even after this week as being one of those real top colts in this 3-year-old division. I think Brad Cox has got a good one, but you know, there hasn't been a winner of this Louisiana Derby go on to win the Kentucky Derby since 1996.
Maybe they're due. Maybe it's time for a change, right? And I'm with you on the angle of added blinkers won. Now adding blinkers could win, because I really feel like Proxy, with the addition of the hood, is just going to be that much better. And the blinks going on is going to help him take that next step. That's the reason why I like Mandaloon in the Risen Star. It worked for him. I think Proxy's got a chance to just sort of follow that same pattern and have the same success and turn the tables on Mandaloon. So I will go Proxy for a little bit of a surprise. Hot Rod Charlie still in the mix. Don't be mistaken by the trainer's name, Leandro Mora. It's still Doug O'Neill. He's just serving suspension. I can't wait. I think it's going to be a great race and just put a wrap on a solid weekend coming up at the Fairgrounds. So that is what is on tap, Chad, in terms of thoroughbred action. Let's keep this thing going here. Let's talk some harness, because Woodbine Mohawk Park is an integral part of the racing scene here in Canada, North America-wise as well. Catch Race 8 Saturday on HPI Bet TV, or HPI TV, courtesy of HPI Bet. Good-looking field of 10 here.
Yeah, a lot of good names, some talented 4-year-olds in the mix against some established, you know, older horses, including the Millionaire, Easy Lover Hanover, and here, Mongolian Hero. God, did he ever race his eyeballs out last week? Parked every step and was still fighting on the end of it. Unfortunately, had to settle for second in that spot. I know you and I were both liking him last weekend. But, you know, Beyond Better right now, kind of a buzz horse for the Hall of Famer Bob McIntosh. And, you know, what's he been doing since coming back? Just winning, posing for the camera. Bob McClure, now our leading driver in the standings, just overtook Sylvain Filion. It's early, but, you know, things going really well for the reigning O'Brien Award driver. But here he is with Beyond Better, guiding him to his 3rd straight win, and a different approach in the most recent victory too, Jason. And that was on the front end, and I think he did it just fine. He kicks home. You know, you want to be one of the good ones. You got to learn to do it from a variety of trips. But the one that's second there, that's Major Custard. And I know you tried him from the 9-hole in his Ontario debut. Coming, you know, he's a Western Canada star. I thought he performed very, very well. Good first race for him here. You know, it's a totally different caliber of horse. He should step off of that effort, but there's more than just Beyond Better now in this spot.
Exactly. And when I look at the field, I give that respect to Beyond Better. Any horse that's rolling the way he is, you have to. But different scenario here, getting reclassified, meeting some salty veterans. Which way you leaning?
You know what? I wanted to go Beyond Better, but then I'm just worried it's going to be too short of a price. So I'm going to try a bit of a better price in Easy Lover Hanover. And you know what? He's maybe not been quite on his game just yet, but he takes a little while to get going. And I know he had to miss last week, but I'm hoping that doesn't hold him back too much. Dropping down, he did win his last start at this class level. And he's just a classy horse. And when he gets going, he can stay good for a while. So I think the fellow Hall of Famer, Ben Wallace, can have this guy ready to roll.
I like your thinking. Like it a lot.
Okay.
I mean, Mongolian Hero last time out just raced his eyeballs off. I felt badly that he wasn't able to get the win, didn't get the score. He slept well that night, by the way. But I'm with you. I'm going to go Easy Lover. I'm going to lean on the back class. You got a wily veteran trainer and Ben Wallace who can certainly have him ready to go. Doug McNair sticks by his side. I get it. It's a Brad Grant-owned horse. But if he can just reach back for one, I think he can definitely, just feel better about his chances in this spot, avoiding some of the titans that he's been facing, like a Wheels on Fire, a Points North as well, who's just a solid horse for Carm. I'm going to give Easy Lover a chance to click. So that is race number 8 coming up on Saturday. All right, we're almost done. There it is. There it is. Oh, yeah.
Got it going.
It's
there we go.
Time for JNC's BB, the old bet battle. And you know what? Nothing is worse than getting scratches. You and I both affected by that last week. And, it turned out to be a chalky affair in the Damon Runyon at Aqueduct.
You know what? The only thing the scratch helped with me was that I didn't lose as much because I would have lost all 25 regardless. The rail horse that I had coming off of that winning effort just didn't come up with. He just wasn't ready for that, it didn't seem like. But yours, the new recruit for Chad Brown, absolutely crushing in that spot.
Yeah, just did not like the price. My $25 wasn't really $25 because my exacta box for $10 was gone, and I lost another $1 because of the scratch. So we have $25 to play with, in case those of you that aren't privy to the situation. Where have you been? We've been racing around the world for weeks now. But yeah, how are you going to dole out your $25? And what I think is, a really competitive affair. I mean, Charmbo Prince, the fact that he starts from the second tier maybe kind of levels the playing field.
And I think you're right. I mean, he's proven in the past that he can do it from off of the pace as well, but I think it does level the playing field. And I think we're just going to see more racing in this final with a full field. There's some good trotters in here. And I'm telling you, I am going to swing for the fence. Mastro, this guy looks like $1 million on the track, but he's had trouble finishing his races. Now, last week he had an equipment break, but he finished his race very well. So I'm going to go with him for the upset across the board. Then I've got him right up on top over the 1, 2, 3, 8, and 10. I'm going to say Charmbo Prince does not sweep the series.
He got away with some pedestrian-like fractions last time out. And you know what? Good on Mike Saftik, right? I mean, we all have a passing lane, whether it's on the highway or on a racetrack. Others can just go around. They chose not to. He out-sprinted them to the wire, but I think him starting from post 10 could be the equalizer. I'm going to go with Toccoa Falls. I mean, that horse raced so well last week. Nobody was moving. He said to Eddie, let's go. Made a big brush, but then when he quickened, so too did the rest of the field. It was just him racing against the flow. $10 to win on that guy. And I'm going to play an exacta box at Toccoa Falls and Charmbo Prince just because that last race didn't take much out of the Prince. I think he comes right back with a big effort. And then I'll play a little exacta with Toccoa Falls on top of a few horses there, as you can see on the screen. And hopefully it works out. So
look at all these bets you made. It seems like you get more money to spend than I do. What the?
I'm just more economical. Maybe I'm just trying to do smaller increments. Right. We've gone from New Orleans. We talked Kentucky with the Derby points, Canada with the Winterbook odds. We've gone all over the globe here. Woodbine Mohawk Park. And feels like we got a lot done.
We sure did. Lots to cover, and that will continue. We already kind of teased what's coming up next weekend, and it's going to ramp up because we know we're getting closer and closer to that first Saturday in May.
Can't wait. And spring right around the corner. So last week I said I'll see you 1 hour earlier because we sprung forward in terms of the clock. And now I get a chance to say, hey, I'll see you in spring. Always appreciate it. Working alongside my man, Chad Rozema. Our thanks as well to trainer Mark Cassie for the help. And producer Luke Van Belkom, who puts his whole show together all by himself without any help. We'll see you again soon for another edition of Racing Around the World, brought to you by HPI Bet.